Most people don't stop training because they're lazy. They stop training because they believe in something which is not true. And that lie is that at a certain age, you cannot grow muscle anymore. This idea destroys the progress before it starts. Today, in this video, I want to show you scientifically, practically, and personally that you can still build muscle at any age, but you have to understand how body changes and how training must evolve with this. For the ones who are new to my channel, I'm Dr. Nash Jocic, former bodybuilding champion. I competed 46 times and won 17 titles. I've been in bodybuilding for over 40 years. And during that time, I personally coached over 3,500 clients and helped them to get in the best shape of their lives. I have also published 11 ebooks for you, which are fully loaded with detailed information that explain everything that you always wanted to know about bodybuilding. Things like muscle growth, fat loss, training split, number of sets, number of reps, nutrition, lifestyle change, and much, much more. So if you want to expand your knowledge and widen your horizons, please click on the link below and you can access my ebooks. So why this message matters? You need to understand that your body is not a machine that breaks with time. It is a biological system capable of adaptation until the very last day of your life. But that adaptation is not automatic. It depends on stimulus, recovery, nutrition, and also mindset. Aging doesn't stop muscle growth. Wrong diet does, wrong training does, and also neglect, if you are inactive, of course. Muscle respond to signals, and you can change these signals at any age, on age of 20, 40, 50, 80, and beyond. So remember, the muscle can grow at any age. Let us begin with biology, because biology does not lie. Your muscles are made of fibers capable of hypertrophy, increasing in size, so as a response to mechanical tension and also proper recovery. Even in their 80s, studies have shown many times, people can increase their strength, increase the muscle cross-section, improve their walking and also speed, reduce fall risk, which is very important, improve metabolic health, which is the key reason why they carry on without any health issues. And all of this after only 12 weeks of resistance training. So this is phenomenal to understand. And why is that? Because the mechanism of growth, like mTOR activation, satellite cell recruitment, and protein synthesis, they never physiologically turn off. So these capabilities of your physiology, they are always there. They are just inactive because they don't need to be triggered. Therefore, training, obviously followed by a proper diet, will trigger all these growth mechanisms which can never been switched off. They may have been dormant because of inactivity, but never switched off. What is very important to understand is that not any type of training will benefit you. So you need to have a properly structured workout, enough days per week, enough sets and reps in order to benefit as you age. So just going to the gym doesn't mean anything. Nothing is going to happen. There are a lot of people who go to the gym, but you can see they're still frail, they're not improving, they're hardly walking, not to mention thousands of them who never changed. They're still in bad shape, overweight, etc. So going to the gym is not a signal, but mechanical tension with sufficient intensity is the signal for changes that you are after. So when you are young, I've seen that many, many times. You can even get away and benefit a little bit from poor workouts. People do that because they are naturally full of testosterone and growth hormone, and whatever they do, just put some intensity, they will change. That will work until it doesn't work. So it will give you some results until it's not. So basically, that type of workout can still give you some temporary benefits. But if you're over 40 or 50 or 60, then your body demands precision. And that means proper exercise selection. So not any exercise, no random choice or some advice from inexperienced or not knowledgeable online coach is going to help you. You really need a proper exercise selection. Also, you need to understand that you need to train with the proper tempo. You cannot just lift weights because you're not there to move the weight from A to B point. You are there to use that weight for a particular reason, for your benefits. But that is not going to happen if you just mechanically keep moving weights from one point to another. So you need tempo. You also need a tension in the muscle. You don't need momentum. You can't just throw the weights, as so many people are doing. I've seen it. I can't emphasize more the importance of correct form, which will apply the tension of the muscle throughout the set, not just 1 or 2 reps, but every single rep, meaning the tension is constant. So you don't stop at any point, you don't bounce the weight, you don't use momentum in order to lift heavier. You just need to pay attention that the tension lasts anywhere from 30 to 60, 70 seconds, depending on the muscle group. And this is critical for effective training as you age. Also, stop thinking or dreaming about that amazing training session because you went to failure and you really did everything in order to kill that last rep. But this is not necessary and is also dangerous, especially as you age, because your connective tissues are changing. They are not as elastic and repairable as they were when you were 20. So you need to be more intelligent. You need to beat age with intelligence, not just with crazy dreaming about you when you were 20, 25, when you were lifting all these weights. So now you need to understand that your training should be close to failure. So anywhere 2 reps before failure will be perfect. You're going to benefit greatly and build huge muscles without going to failure. Just remember golden era and all these legends. They never went to failure. And look at the end results. All of them ended up being unsurpassed bodies for 5, 6 decades now, and nobody even come close to them. So they never trained to failure. Why would you go to failure? What are you going to prove? Physiologically, nothing. Ego, forget about ego. You think about your physiological and metabolic progress. So forget about your ego. Throw that ego outside. Leave it outside the gym before you walk in, and focus on advice that I'm giving you here. Also, you need enough volume to stimulate. You can't just do it in few sets. So forget about all this nonsense of heavy duty, 1 set per exercise, 3, 4 exercises per muscle group. Therefore, in 3 or 4 or 5 sets, you finished. No, you didn't finish anything. You didn't do enough. You need time, you need sets, you need reps, you need volume. So that volume, again, is anywhere from 20 to 30 sets for large muscle groups and anywhere from 12 to 16 sets for smaller muscle groups. Yes, is possible. A lot of you coming back to me and said, oh, there is no way I can do 20 sets. Of course you can do 20 sets. My girlfriend is doing 30 sets every time she trains with me. We do chest, back, legs, everything is 30 sets. So why you cannot do it? What is the reason? It's psychological. You have put a barrier there, and because for decades you follow heavy duty, and now somebody is coming and saying, oh, you need to do at least 20 sets. Yes, you can. Keep trying, maybe not in the first week, second week, maybe after 2-3 months. But if you're doing 6, 7, 8 sets per muscle, large muscle group, increase to 12, 15. Adapt. Your cardiovascular system will benefit. Your pulmonary system will benefit. Your lymphatic system especially will benefit. And so on and so on. Not to mention muscle growth. You need volume. You need right amount of quality reps. You don't need just 8 to 10 quality reps. You need 30, 40 quality reps per session, and that is not going to happen in only a few sets. Another thing to remember is that also you need recovery. So the question is not, can I train hard? But the question is, can I recover from how I train? So if you're training properly, if you're training with right intensity, and I have explained in a particular video about proper intensity and what it means. So if you didn't watch it, and then you will know when I talk about intensity what I refer to. So if that training session is effective, is correct, you will need time to recover that particular muscle. Now, it's not only the muscle, but the whole unit that you have actually engaged when you were performing that. So let's say you're doing leg press or squats. You're not just training your muscle, you're also using your connective tissues, your tendons and ligaments and cartilages and fascia. So all this connective tissue also has to recover. So although the muscle can recover within 72 hours, that doesn't mean that your connective tissue will recover. It needs extra 2-3 days. And also your CNS needs another 2 days. So everything fits into that perfect form of average of 7 days. So you train every muscle once in 7 days. Okay, in some cases it can be 8 or 9 days, doesn't really matter, but I'm just using as a point of reference. So you need to train the muscle properly and then leave that unit, not just muscle, that unit that we have used of muscle, connective tissues, joints. So leave that to recover. Once that is fully recovered, you can hit it again. If you are doing 2-3 sessions for the same muscle group per week, you are simply asking for trouble. You're not going to grow. You're going to pump cortisol in your body, and you will also be very, very close to injury, because that stress on connective tissue, which didn't recover itself, because it cannot recover in 2-3 days, you need 7 days to recover, that stress will accumulate and it will come with a price. You will get injured without any doubt. Another thing to remember, that as you age, you need to eat more protein. So protein is simply non-negotiable. You need to understand that due to something that is called anabolic resistance, as we age, we actually become less efficient in using protein to build tissue. So we need more protein than when we were younger. So I can't, highlight how important that is. So you need to basically focus on protein like nothing else. That's the number one macronutrient in your diet. So protein will simply preserve your muscles. It will also increase satiety, because you're going to be happy for hours after your meal. You will not be constantly hungry and constantly thinking about food and become hysterical about food. High protein meal will give you good 4, 5, 6 hours window that you will go without food, not even thinking about it. Now, when the body is ready to eat again, you're going to feel hungry. And this is when you should eat again. And this is absolutely the best the best habit that you can develop when it comes to healthy eating, that you eat substantial portions 2-3 times per day and allow the body to digest that while waiting for the signal that is sent to you that you are hungry. And when you are hungry, you eat again. And you will see, it may be 2, it may be 3 meals a day, but I don't think anything more than that will be better. Also, protein improves insulin sensitivity. As we age, naturally, our insulin sensitivity declines, and we are becoming more insulin resistant, because in average person who is losing muscle tissue with age, which is happening to everybody who is not exercising, insulin sensitivity drops and insulin resistance going up. That means that the person who is not exercising is going to start putting on weight, meaning he's going to get fatter. And this is very bad for you. And also, this insulin sensitivity is the number one factor that will keep you metabolically healthy. Remember, insulin resistance is the underlying cause of all cardiovascular diseases. So if you are paying attention to your food and make your protein dominant in the ratio of protein to fat 1 to 0.5, this is my advice. Sometimes it may go higher. Very low carbs, under 50 grams per day. In some days, not carbs at all. You will improve your insulin sensitivity dramatically. And you, after a few weeks or a month or 2 on that diet, you can go and check your fasting insulin, do the blood test, and you will see where you're going to be standing. You're going to be metabolically absolutely perfect. Also, eating protein raises metabolic rate. So your BMR, basal metabolic rate, will raise. You will be burning more calories during the day that you were burning before. Therefore, you're going to be losing body fat without doing anything else, just changing your diet, eating high protein, medium fat, low carbohydrate diet. And also high protein supports recovery. So this is, I think, enough about importance of protein. And I would advise you to eat around 50 grams of protein per meal if you eat 3 times per day. But in some cases even more, depending on the individual, depending on the body weight, or fitness level, and obviously physical activity or training. So if you are somebody who is, let's say, 200, 220 pounds, relatively lean muscle, and you're training 4 or 5 times per week, you can be eating up to 100 grams of protein a day, regardless of your age. So I'm not leveling any amount. I'm just suggesting that it shouldn't be less than 50 grams, and it can go up to 100 depending on your individual qualities. So low protein diets are actually silent killers. For all these reasons that I mentioned, all these benefits that protein gives you, you will be lacking those benefits. So basically your muscles will shrink, you're going to lose stability, shrunk muscle will mean less strength, which will directly influence your bone density. Your insulin sensitivity will go down, you're going to become insulin resistant. Your metabolic rate will go down, so you're going to be burning less calories. And these low protein diets, when you're aging, is literally a silent killer, which is absolutely unacceptable. But now you have understand why protein is so important to keep you healthy, to keep you active, to keep you strong, and to preserve your muscle tissue, which is absolutely essential for longevity. So now let me tell you something about the first sign of aging. So the loss of strength is actually the first sign of aging. When you start losing strength, you're going to start losing muscle tissue. This is exactly what happens to majority of people as they start aging. So with the loss of muscle tissue, loss of strength equals loss of muscle tissue, the mass, muscle mass, you're going to start performing very badly. First of all, your movements will be decreased, so you're not going to be able to move as much as you should. And also, loss of muscle tissue will directly influence your independence. So because you can't move, you will always be dependent on somebody else, maybe to go to the shop to buy food for you, or if you want to go for a walk, somebody else will have to be with you because you are actually, you can't do it properly. Also, loss of strength directly influences your bone density, because bones get density, they become strong only because there is an impact, the force applied to them via muscular contraction. So the stronger the muscle, the bone has to follow by being strong in order to survive the stress which is caused by intense muscular contraction under resistance. So with a loss of strength and loss of muscle tissue, your bone density will decrease, which is very bad because your bones will become brittle. And as you know, when people over the age of 50, 60, when they break bone or something, they become completely mobilized, sometimes for the rest of their lives. They just can't move. And this is detrimental for your health, basically. Also, loss of muscle tissue will decrease your confidence because you're not going to be competent anymore, confident that you can do things. So all of a sudden, you're going to find yourself in a different world of inability. When it comes to metabolism, loss of muscle will directly influence your metabolism, so your BMR will go down, meaning that you will be burning less calories per day. So if you are burning, let's say, 2,000 calories, with age and loss of muscle tissue, you can start burning 1,200 or maybe 1,000, even less. But it's very difficult to eat 800 calories a day, so you will probably continue eating your 2,000 calories, and this is actually the best example why people with age who are not active and who are experiencing muscle loss put on weight, because their metabolic rate slows down. Also, loss of strength directly impacts also the brain health. So as you can see, strength is very, very important for your overall well-being, your health, and your longevity. Another thing that I want to mention is very important, and this is loss of insulin sensitivity with the age, and that is reversible. So people who are inactive, they basically lose insulin sensitivity, and everything goes downhill. With loss of insulin sensitivity, you start producing more insulin, you're becoming insulin resistant, you're piling on body fat, and your muscle cells are closing insulin receptors. Therefore, you're going to be losing supply of amino acids and glucose. Therefore, the muscle cells will start starving. So your muscles are shrinking, your body fat is increasing. So that is all consequence of lost insulin sensitivity. But the good thing is, if you start training at any age, you can be 60 or 70, you never trained before, not to mention 40 or 50, you can reverse that loss of insulin sensitivity, and you can increase your insulin sensitivity and decrease insulin resistance, which is the major step forward in optimizing your metabolic health. Now, what happens? First of all, with the increase of muscle tissue, your insulin receptors, they starts opening. Increased muscle cell literally increases the surface of the insulin receptor. Therefore, insulin will be very welcome, and the body will not be needed to produce too much insulin, because even less insulin will deliver amazing job. Why? Because your cells have become insulin sensitive. This is one of the great benefits of increasing muscle mass as you age. Now, the number two thing is with the diet. When you stop eating carbohydrates, the body will automatically start reducing insulin production, because there is not going to be too much glucose, too much sugar in the blood, and therefore the body will normalize insulin production, and that insulin production will be just as high as necessary, or if you want, as low as necessary, to deliver amino acids to the muscle cells. And that will be perfect for you, because you will again increase your insulin sensitivity. So with the loss of insulin sensitivity, your recovery becomes harder, because, as I mentioned, the nutrients will enter muscle cells much harder if you are insulin resistant. Therefore, you will recover slower. You can train, but if you're not eating properly, or if you're inactive, basically, your recovery will become extremely hard for you. Also, with the loss of insulin sensitivity, your inflammation increases because of too much present insulin in the body. And that inflammation is the major culprit when it comes to cardiovascular disease, especially formation of the plaques in the arteries. Not to mention, your growth will slow, muscles will shrink, because if you're not doing proper training and if you're not eating correctly, the insulin sensitivity will just drop. Now, insulin, as I said, insulin resistance is reversible. How? How do we do that? Again, the magic recipe: resistance training properly conducted, also high protein diet, low carbohydrate intake, also walkings, as I advise, 3-4 times per day, not attached to your workout. If you're training in the evening, go for a walk in the morning. If you're training in the morning, go for a walk in the evening. Make sure 3-4, in some cases 5 times per week, 40 to 60 minutes outdoor walking, medium pace, normal walk, nothing intense. Therefore, no cortisol in your blood, in the body produced. You are going to be relaxed. Your body will benefit. You will produce a lot of nitric oxide, which means one of the most important vasodilators in the body, which actually stretches the arteries, and this is phenomenal thing for everybody to do. And also sleep is very important. You need to have a quality sleep, 8 hours a night, uninterrupted as possible, and also by reduction of visceral fat. So all this will help you fight insulin resistance and increase insulin sensitivity. Another thing to mention, which is very important, that with age, in majority of people, the bones become brittle. Why? Because with the loss of muscle tissue, your bones don't have to be strong anymore. If they are not strong muscular contractions under resistance, hence weight training, resistance training, your muscles will shrink, you will lose strength, and your bones will start leaching minerals, because they are simply not, they don't have to be strong. As that popular saying in fitness applies actually to everything: use it or lose it. So it's not only muscle, but it's also bones. So if you're not training with weights, if you're not practicing resistance training correctly, and you don't follow proper diet, you will start losing bone density, and that is absolutely catastrophic, because bones become brittle, and any fall, any break of any bone is going to be terrible for you. Now, how do you increase bone density? Simply mechanical stress, tension, everything that force, everything that actually applies to weight training to resistance training is the perfect recipe for the strong bones, because they respond to that load and they become stronger. They have to be stronger because there is the constant stress applied to them via muscular contractions. Especially important for you is leg exercises. Leg training is one of the most important, because the most important area where people actually break most of the time femur or hips, because they are brittle. The best way to strengthen them is actually to perform squats, leg press, lunges, and these exercises will actually strengthen those critical bones, which most people found really dramatic if they get broken. The recoveries last forever, for months, which means months of inactivity, which means loss of muscle tissue, which means complete deterioration of your metabolic health, insulin resistance, slow down metabolism, etc., etc. So the best thing to actually preserve the strength of these critical bones in your lower body is to perform leg exercises correctly. Now, what about muscles? So, surprise, surprise, muscles are the most important tissue for longevity. So if I can choose one tissue to protect me for the rest of my life, I would choose muscle. So there are so many reasons why muscles are so important for your overall health and longevity. I will just mention a few. So first is about glucose storage. Muscles, they store glucose as glycogen. So more muscle you have, more glucose you will store. That means the less glucose will end up, if any, in fat cells. This is very, very important. Also, muscles, they control insulin production. If you have higher muscle mass, means higher insulin sensitivity. So you will produce less insulin, because only normal, smaller amount of insulin will be needed to deliver necessary glucose and amino acids to the cells. Why? Because on the bigger muscle cells, your insulin receptors are very sensitive. They are wide open and they welcome insulin. When the receptors are closed, insulin becomes a problem. They don't want insulin, and then the body starts producing more insulin. This is how you get insulin resistance. Also, muscles, they protect joints. So your joints, cartilages, and also bones are protected by muscles. Stronger the muscles, stronger the bones. I just explained that in the previous part. Your muscles also support your posture, because better posture, better, obviously, longer life and healthier life. Posture is very important because you keep your spine straight, your lungs are able to open fully when you breathe. There are tons of benefits of great posture. Without strong muscles, your posture will suffer. Also, your muscles, they prevent falls. So people who have stronger muscles, they can climb the stairs, go down the stairs with more confidence, and they are less likely to fall. Also, muscles produce myokines, which actually reduce inflammation, and also your muscles keep your metabolism alive, more muscle tissue, faster metabolism. So benefits are unbelievable. And once again, remember, the muscles are the most important tissue for longevity. So let me give you a practical advice. To build muscle at any age, you should, first of all, train with mechanical tension. Proper mechanical tension, which means tension throughout the set. If you're performing 10, 12 reps, that means 30, 40 seconds, for example, you have to have tension during that set for all 30, 40 seconds. You don't stop at any point, you don't use momentum, you don't try to lift some weights. You need to have quality reps, meaning constant tension over X amount of time, as I mentioned, 30 to 40 seconds. Number two, you have to use a smart split. You need enough stimulus, but also you need enough recovery. So as you age, you should start thinking more, can I recover from this workout? Rather than, can I train hard in this workout? Because if you do everything right, you will have to recover. This is automatically suggesting, as I explained so many times, that for you, ideally would be to train every muscle once per week. And not just for you, for anybody at any stage, but especially for people who are over 40, 50, once a week full recovery of the whole unit, not just muscles, but also connective tissues and central nervous system. Very important. So number 2 is a smart split. Number 3, eat high protein, at least 50 grams of protein per meal, or even more, depending on your size and activity, depending on your fitness experience. 2 to 3 meals a day will be enough, but remember that the protein is simply non-negotiable. As we age, we need more protein, not less. Number 4, keep your carbs controlled. I would advise you as you age to eat less than 50 grams of carbs a day. Correct. In the days off, or maybe in some other days, you can also skip carbs altogether. Just rely on protein and fat. So experiment and find out what works for you. But I would not advise anything more than 50 grams of carbs per day. All right? Now, number 5, you have to pay attention to training legs, because legs are the most important muscle group. And when it comes to age, you want your legs to be strong, because strong legs not only strengthen your femur, your thigh bone and your hips, but also increase your metabolism, because they're the biggest muscles on the body. And the biggest muscles on the body, quads, hamstrings, also glutes, they will improve your insulin sensitivity more than any other muscles which are smaller, because there are more muscle cells there. There is a more opportunity to open receptors, so leg workouts are critical. Leg strength is directly related to your heart strength. So there is no doubt that the most important muscle group that you should pay attention to is there are legs. Number 6, sleep. You grow when you sleep. You don't grow while you're training. While you're training, you stimulate growth. But that happens during the sleep, when you produce your growth hormone and when you recover your nervous system. This is when the body is fully focused on repair, rejuvenation of your tissues. So sleep is important, 7 to 8 hours minimum every night. Number 7, which I would consider my personal trademark, and this is consistency. Consistency is basically the key for every success. If you are not consistent in anything, you will never make any results. Just ask yourself about anything that you have done successfully in life. Maybe business, maybe relationship, maybe creating art, or anything, or actually bodybuilding. Whatever you have done successfully, that implicates immediately that you have been consistent in that field. So if you want to have a good health and live longer, better, with better quality of life, you have to be consistent. Training and diet have to be your new lifestyle. So once you set yourself on the right path, right workouts, right recovery, right nutrition, you have to follow that for the rest of your life. There is nothing better to do. Let me remind you once again that I have published 11 ebooks which are fully loaded with detailed information about everything you always wanted to know about bodybuilding. Now, if you need a structured plan for workouts or trainings, I am ready to do that with you on a personal basis, one-to-one. You can also see this video in which I introduce my other services. These are the ways that I can personally help you to get in the best shape of your life. And especially if you are looking for training or nutritional program for somebody who is over 40 or 50, I'll be very happy to actually work with you. So please get in touch and we can start making things better. Guys, I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and if you did, please subscribe to my channel, like the video, and also share the video, send me your comments, and I will see you in the next video.